Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there and the globe. And this is Laura Hosford with the Light Leaders Academy. And here I am coming from Atlanta, Georgia. So it's 12 p.m. or a little after Eastern Standard Time. And every Wednesday we come together in our weekly prayer group and to come together for messages of inspiration, for healing, for sharing, and for supporting each other in prayer with bringing together our angels, our archangels, our higher guides, our higher selves, and coming together to support each other during this time of transition and change on the earth. So welcome if this is your first time. And I'll invite you also to join our community, which is the Light Leaders Academy Earth Angel Support Group you can find on Facebook. And you can also find out more about me and the services that I provide in the community at www.laurahosford.com. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to just expand my screen here a little bit so that we're not looking at all that stuff there. Let's see. I just got a new desktop computer and I'm still learning how to operate it. So somewhere on here I can expand out the screen. Let me see if I can do it this way. All right, here. Just giving it a moment here. So we didn't have our prayer group last week. I was actually on vacation with my daughter last week and down at near Panama City, which is on the Gulf Coast here of Florida. And we just had a marvelous time. She works part-time for a physical therapist. And so she went down to volunteer and help them with some of the clients who have physical disabilities. And so they were helping the clients to actually go out on boats and swim with dolphins. So I had always wanted to swim with dolphins, so I went down and was able to join one of the boats as a guest. And it was complimentary, so I didn't have to pay a cent, which is wonderful. And just so grateful for the experience. It was really, really powerful to be in the ocean with these magnificent healing creatures. And it was just wonderful. So if you ever get a chance to do that, I highly recommend it. Okay, so let's go ahead now and get started with our prayer circle today. And let me just, hopefully you can hear me. I'm using the headset today. And because I know I've had a little bit of a connection problem here. And figuring out how my new system works. Okay. All right. So we'll just go ahead and move through here and get started with connecting with our breath today. Let's just begin by just grounding ourselves into our body through the breath. So I'll just invite you now to begin by taking in a really deep cleansing, healing breath, breathing that in through the nose. And then exhaling out through the mouth. And let's do that again, breathing in through the nose. And just exhaling out through the mouth, just really just letting it all go, letting the shoulders drop. And as you do, let's take in another deep breath, breathing in through the nose. And then exhaling out through the mouth, dropping the shoulders, closing your eyes. And I'll just invite you now to connect with your heart space and bringing your hand to the heart immediately connects us into our heart space. And now that you're there, connecting with your heart space, just imagine seeing the doors to your heart open and stepping over the threshold into that beautiful sacred space of your multidimensional heart. Beautiful, breathing in. And now just taking a moment to align with your own heartbeat, the physical heartbeat that builds and beats with the rhythm of the universe, flowing in and flowing out. And just feeling into that natural rhythm that's always there, and feeling into this greater part of you, and that greater part of you as the universe, always expanding and then contracting, expanding and then contracting through the breath. And just feel how natural that feels in the body, and how calming and peaceful that feels to your body as you just connect in with that. Because again, we're connecting in with that more expansive part of us, the part of us that knows our higher self, our God self, that we are always fully embraced in unconditional love, which is the fabric of the universe. And that we are always deeply cared for at all times, no matter what's going on in our lives. And that we can just come into this place and space deep within our sacred heart space and just connect with your own I am presence. And you can just say to yourself, I am that I am. I am that I am. And as you do, you just feel that larger part of you. And you might see it or feel it as a beautiful white golden light moving out from the heart center. And just allow this beautiful light of who you are to move out deep within your body, moving down into the organs, into the endocrine system, the skeletal system, into the very muscles and fiber of your very beingness, moving out through the multidimensional heart, moving out through the heart walls and into the blood system, moving out through the physical heart and the high heart, the thymus, moving all the way down into every cell of your being, into the particles and the waves, the fractals, into the nano quantum fields, going really, really deep into the core of you. And now just feel that expansion of your true self, your God self. That part of you we call the divine spark that has never really left the heart of God. Beautiful. And as you feel and connect more deeply with this place within you, and we call that the 0 point field, the place where the dualities come together in perfect harmony and balance. And this is the point where we create from, as was created by Divine Mother and Divine Father. And out of Divine Mother, the void, came all of life. Beautiful. And so the more that you can deeply connect within this space, this heart space, within you, this place, this essence of who you really are, the core of your divine God self, the more you connect here, the more you're connecting back into your own divine sovereign power. And just take a moment now to call back any parts or pieces or fragments of you that are ready to come back. And just call those energies back to you now. From any place, any conversation with any person, with anywhere within the universe, known and unknown, any parallel reality known and unknown, in any dimension of consciousness, past, present, or future, just call those parts of you, those aspects of you back to you, your own authentic energies, and feel those now coming back into your heart space. And as they come back in, just welcome them with appreciation and gratitude and love for being part of your soul's experience and learning and growth. We always want to honor all parts of ourselves, and we never want to judge any part of us. For everything is always happening in divine perfection for our highest good. And as we can stay with that as much as we can align with that, then our life will flow with more ease and grace. And we will become less angry, less frustrated, and less irritated. Beautiful. So let's take a deep breath in, breathing out. And now just feeling your feet flat on the floor wherever you're sitting, and just connecting in with the beautiful energies of Mother Earth, feeling deep within her womb, a beautiful unconditional love of a lime green color, a bright orange now coming up to the bottom of the feet and bringing those beautiful supportive energies up into the legs, up into your heart, and feeling that support by Mother Earth, along with the support of your higher self, your divine self, and the support of heaven above. And just feel that inner peace and calm as you bring those into balance within, coming into the 0 point field, and coming back here to know thyself as they parts and parcels of Divine Mother and Divine Father, made in the image of Divine Mother and Divine Father. We hold all those perfect qualities within us. Beautiful. So just take a deep breath in, breathing out. And now just coming back into wherever you are, back into the room. Beautiful. So I thought we'd do something a little different today and just check in to see where we are with the divine feminine and masculine energies today. So I've got this card deck I had purchased. It's Divine Feminine Masculine Reunited by Christabel Jessica. And it's a fairly new card deck out there. And so I thought it'd be just kind of fun to pull up the cards today. And I'm just going to shuffle the cards and just ask for messages, a message to come through today for our highest good and the highest good of everyone on the collective consciousness. And looks like this card wants to come out. And yeah, just to kind of check in and see. Okay, so I've got two cards here. I'm going to do those, and let's just see what those are. Just have a little fun. Okay, so the first card that came up is the God of Battle. This is ours, number 6. Wow, interesting. Kind of a deep, let me see if I can get that for you. See, the God of Battle. So let's just see what she has to say, and then we'll check in and see additionally what other messages want to come through here. Okay, so Aries, the God of Battle. What is this about? So he says, hello, I present with you today to talk about a segment of the wounded masculine Okay. A part of the masculine that warped from his innate inner qualities surrounding action and protectiveness. What I'm referring to is the part of the masculine's heart that went to war and is still yet to return. Due to the rise of religion and war and the fall of consciousness, many battles have been fought and the subsequent effects have been immense. We know that. How many battles have gone on? When the masculine left his feminine at home to go to war, he did so with the intent to protect and serve her and his community. In order to do this, he had to detach from his tender heart. Consequently, he did such a great job of this that a part of his heart is still hardened. Can you see this occurring around you? I think we can if we look out there, definitely, about the events that are going on in the world, particularly on the political scene. I think we're seeing this played out right now, that yes, the masculine within us, in the collective consciousness, particularly on the political scene, is coming through, is definitely having that hardened piece around. And you can see that being played out in some of the events that have happened, particularly with the immigrant situation and the children being separated from their parents. That would definitely be, I think, one example of this place of the masculine wounding that hasn't been healed, and that could have, basically entertain this, even just allowing it to happen, so to speak. So I think that's very much one example right there of how we're seeing it showing up in the collective consciousness. As mirrored opposites, two halves of a whole, every wounding that the masculine has, the feminine has a wound to match. Oh, and we could definitely see that too, where, there have been many, many people speaking out against these really, this horrific event of separating children, from their mothers, from their fathers. And I think that's also just representing the opposite side, the wounding of the feminine, of the heart. The feminine who waited for the masculine to return has had a piece of her nurturing twisted into a sense of desperation. And we can certainly see that playing out, right? The parents are desperate to reunite with their children. I mean, who wouldn't be? These are the wounds that are prevalent in your time being pulled up to the surface to be triggered and worked through and therefore resolved. So yes, all of this is coming in for the highest good, for these woundings, of these deep woundings within the core of us, of all of us, at the collective consciousness level, the feminine and the masculine, to be healed. And these events that are being triggered are showing us this. Know that as you experience these themes, they are presenting themselves to be transmuted. All is in order and all is in the highest good for all. And I definitely agree with that. That these scenes are just coming up to be, and I'm getting a lot of validation as I share that with you now from my guides, that yes, these events that are being played out in the world, as horrible as they seem to us, particularly those of us who are sensitive, not to say that everyone isn't sensitive, of course everyone is, that yes, why are we going through this? It seems like sometimes that we're almost going backwards in in ancient times, that these kind of things were played out, and almost very barbaric, if you will. So, but these are actually coming up as reflections of energies that are rising to the surface, that are holding these heaply delved traumas within us, that are coming up for healing. And we look at that from the higher perspective, from the higher truth of these situations, and we can stay in that soul light perspective and not come down into that human perspective, then we can see this as a grand opportunity for us to do this deep inner healing that's within all of us. So let's just take a moment now to say a prayer, and I'll just invite you again to close your eyes. You may want to bring your hand to your heart. Take a deep breath. And now I just see a door opening, a door of opportunity for more light to come flooding in, to heal this wound, this wounding of the divine feminine, and the divine masculine within our hearts are the times where they were separated, and the times where the masculine went out to protect the divine feminine and the community, to keep them safe. He was only doing his duty, what he felt was right, what he felt he had to do at the time. And that really that was the only choice. But as he went out and he engaged in these battles on the earth, and he engaged his fellow self in other countries that he battled with, there was a part of him that recognized at a very deep level that he was battling within himself. And so it's this part that he became very sad. There was a sadness here around it, around this part of him that went out and felt like he had to protect and he had to do his duty. But yet, in a sense, he knew at a higher conscious level that he was actually battling himself. And so there's some sadness around this, and a lack of understanding, in a sense of there's this part or this aspect of why did this occur and why did this happen in this way. And so that's the part there that really has kind of like this hardened, crusty shell over it. And so now I'm just going to invite in the beautiful energies of Saint Germain, who's here, who would like to bring in this very beautiful energies of the violet flame. And so I'll just invite you now to invite in the energies of the violet flame for a moment to come in and to wash over your heart, to wash over that crusty place that is still hardened and hasn't healed within, for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine parts of us. And there's just waves and waves of beautiful purple violet light wash out over and through us, helping us to just forgive ourselves for, it was just a play in consciousness. It was a dance in consciousness. It was for our growth and our learning experience so that we might be able to know ourselves at very deep levels, and that there was still wisdom, there was still part of our learning that we needed to go through these experiences. And so now we can soften, just allow the beautiful energy of the violet flame to come in and through and flow through you, and allow them to soften those hardened parts of our heart. Beautiful. And to just penetrate deeply into the heart, softening and opening up those places, and just washing away the anger, the sadness, the grief. And now bringing in understanding and acceptance and forgiveness for ourselves and others. So be it, so it is. This or something greater. Amen. So just take a deep breath if you want to receive that healing. And then exhale out. Take another deep breath in. Exhale out. And just come back to your heart center and just say, I am that I am. I am that I am. And I know that everything that's happened has always been for my highest good and for my learning, for my soul's experience. There's never any judgment or blame. And I can release and let go of all these energies of sadness and grief and suffering and pain, resentment, abandonment, anger, loneliness. And it all dissolves. Beautiful. And so now that beautiful white light is coming and shining in through a doorway of a new way of being in the world. Now that we've cleared this wound and performed this deep heart healing, there's a beautiful white light shining in on your heart. Beautiful. And now you can just bathe yourself in this beautiful white light of healing, allowing it to raise your vibration. Beautiful. Now that you've done the healing and we've honored the parts, we've honored the emotions, we've honored these parts of us. And now, just as these energies that were teaching energies dissolved away, now more of our true authentic self shines through. Beautiful. So take a deep breath in, breathe out. Beautiful. So I hope you can feel that deep within the heart. Wow, I felt that just so deeply within my heart. It was so beautiful. And just feel that wonderful energy flowing in and through now. So let's look at the other card. And the other card that was coming up is boundaries. Boundaries. So this is the other card. Boundaries. So let's see now what message is coming through here for the Divine Feminine around boundaries right now. Okay, so what messages are coming through here? Boundaries. So welcome to a crash course in boundaries. Boundaries affect the following areas: material, physical, mental, emotional, sexual, love, and spiritual. Your boundaries determine what you allow into your life, your personal space and energy field, what treatment you will take from others, what thoughts, values, and opinions you allow into your being, what your comfort levels are with sexual activity. Boundaries are already a part of so many areas of our life without our knowing it. We naturally implement boundaries on a daily basis, generally according to our subconscious beliefs. And that is the key. Our boundaries are very much based on our subconscious beliefs, not necessarily so much our conscious. Because what we're conscious of, we can then have choice, right? A yes or a no. Once we bring our boundaries into our consciousness, everything changes. First, decide what boundaries you want to implement. For example, if your mother interferes in your love life more than you feel is acceptable, then it is time to put a boundary in place to inhibit this behavior. Time for a truth bomb. It isn't the job of others to obey your boundaries, but it is your job to enforce them. So that's really key, because others are acting out of their own dream. They're acting out of their own perceptions through their own filters. And so what they may have set for themselves as boundaries may not be the same as what you are setting for yourself as a healthy boundary. We all have different, again, understandings of what a healthy boundary looks like. And that all comes back to how much we love ourselves, how much we respect ourselves, how much we honor ourselves, our time, our bodies, and everything about us. About what we will allow in or we won't allow in, what behaviors we will put up with and what behaviors we won't. For example, if you're speaking to your mother on the phone and she tries to invade the boundary that you have exerted clearly, and you say, I asked you not to interfere in my love life. I told you I would no longer tolerate it, and you are persisting, so I'm going to have to hang up. Ring me back when you're ready to move on to another topic. I love you and I don't want this to ruin our relationship. But if it continues, you will push me away and I don't want that to happen. So that is a very good example of how we set a healthy boundary by, again, speaking what that boundary is to another person, a family, a friend, a relationship, where we feel like the boundary that we have set for ourselves is not being honored or respected. And so therefore we can do it in a very kind and loving way. We can express that by speaking up and saying, this is not acceptable. The behavior or the agreement, you're not keeping your part of the agreement, or you're not honoring the request that I asked. Then it's up to us to speak up and to remind that person in a loving and kind way that we have asked them to do that. And if they can't do that, then we may have to reconsider, coming back later at a different time when they can do that, if they're not able to do that. And vice versa, if someone has asked us to do something and we're having some internal struggle around or conflict around honoring what they've asked us to do, then that is a signal that we need to go back and we need to work on that part of us, and we need to take a deeper look, a deeper dive, if you will, and as to what is going on within us that we cannot honor that, because probably we're not honoring it within ourselves. So this is very, very, very cool, these two cards. And I think also just looking at the whole boundary, it starts with us first, and all of us saying, this is acceptable and this is not acceptable, because this is what I value, right? And, we can look at it as this is either adding to life or harming life. And so this is where we come in and use our spiritual discernment. And so I think, again, looking at the bigger picture of the other card, the God of Battle, and coming into particularly the situation that happened with the immigrants and the children and the parents being separated. I mean, in my mind, that certainly is another good example of where we need to begin to exert setting boundaries for ourselves, but also speaking out in our community about what type of behavior is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And certainly for me, in my mind, this behavior of separating parents from children is not acceptable in my world. So I don't know about you. However, that would be in my the way I see it from looking at my higher self perspective, that again, that was coming from a wounded place, of course, in the collective culture, and perhaps coming out of a place of not understanding, or just sheer, what's the word, coming again from that deep wounding of being disconnected from the heart, and not having the empathy, not being connected to empathy or compassion, which I think was part of this, and looking at the energies that surround this whole scenario. So it's important that we individually and in our communities, and that we speak up about what we feel is acceptable and not acceptable, for healthy boundaries for ourselves and others. And I think that certainly is applicable to this whole thing that happened with the parents and the children. And so then it points back to us. It points back again to, are we holding healthy boundaries for ourselves with others? Because the more that we can, in a loving and kind way, the more that we can do that, then of course that is going to impact the collective consciousness out there. And we are going to be able to, again, help shift that, so that this type of scenario that happened won't happen again, hopefully in the future. And we can heal the wounds, and we can completely bring in the love, the compassion, the empathy that wants to enter into the hearts of through our divine feminine and our divine masculine qualities that we all possess, and activate those higher qualities of love and compassion, generosity and kindness in every situation, political or not, all situations, because it's always a choice. We can either choose from the universe of fear, or we can use from the universe of love. And that's what it always comes back to. So All right. Thank you all very much for joining me today on our weekly prayer circle. And please feel free to post your prayers and prayer requests, and I'll include those in with my prayer time today with my team. And I always, as I always do every Wednesday, is come together and include the prayers for this community and for the Light Leaders Academy and everyone in the community to support your prayers for your highest good and your intentions to create a life of wholeness and love and joy in the way that you want to create it for you. Okay, so just a quick announcement, and I'll post this on the replay with the video. I am hosting another video. It will be tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And this video is on Ignite Your Goddess Prosperity Flow. So I'm very excited. We're going to be doing this on the full moon with energies in Capricorn, a very powerful full moon. I was out last night looking at the full moon, just beautiful. You just see the power already rolling in. We'll be bringing in our triple goddesses. So we'll be working with the goddess of, I'm going to be working with Mary Magdalene and Kuan Yin and Lakshmi for our webinar tonight. So we'd love to have you join us and bring your beautiful energy. So I'll post the webinar link, and I'll look forward to seeing you and connecting with you again next week, next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're enjoying these prayer circles, we'd love to receive your feedback and any suggestions for any future topics as well. And as always, I'd love for you to share with your friends and family and invite them to join our circle if you feel like they need some additional support in this way. Would love to be a guide and support for them as well. All right, namaste, sending you lots of love and blessings, and have a beautiful week. And until then, bye-bye for now.